If you can't evolve and have that openness, then your company
Who thought
can't
we were
grow.
ever going to launch hand sanitizer? Summer, my lip balm packaging, it's your fault. She birthed my baby and a brand at the same time.
So I just think you find
Ramble.
Pretty basic.
This episode of Pretty Basic is brought to you by DoorDash. Use code PRETTY for 25% off your order of $15 or more. Also, thank you to Macy's, Skillshare, and Athena Club for sponsoring this episode. Hey guys, we're back with another guest, or rather two guests today.
You're listening to
Pretty basic.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Pretty Basic. We have two beautiful guests here with us today.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Please introduce yourselves.
I'm Mariana.
And I'm Lauren. We are the co-founders of Summer Fridays.
Yay.
I feel like that is such an understatement. Like, if you guys do not know who these two girls are, like when I tell you, I look up to both of you so much, first of all.
Thank you.
You've done so much just in this, like the space, the world, like the beauty industry, like so no, I'm being so
For real.
serious. And I think a huge thing for us being influencers, whenever we get PR, when I see it as a brand first before like your guys' brand, that's how I know it's something special, because I've heard of Summer Fridays for so long and I was like, oh my God, I want to be on their PR list. Like, oh my God, like these products are amazing. Like I've heard so much about it. And I feel like that's something you guys have done so right. And I know there's a lot of girls listening and guys, you know, who are just also look up to you and would love to hear a little pointers in this
What an
episode.
introduction, you guys.
Okay, we can just end the episode now. Great. Thank you.
That's all anyone needs to know.
That's so sweet, because I think what happened too is like we started working on the brand in 2016. We launched in 2018. But really, I feel like in the last year and a half, in the pandemic, we grew so much, but because we were at home, I think we didn't realize, which is a third of our lifetime of the brand, how much happened in a year and a half. And so it was like the first thing we did after the pandemic was we had like a drive-in movie night. And at the movie night, there was so many more people and so many people we didn't know. We were like, oh my God, our baby brand grew so much in this amount of time that it became so much larger in like the last year and a half. And so sometimes I think we forget how much the brand influences other people and like reaches people.
Oh yeah, that night I remember very vividly, because it was the first time that we thought, oh, we actually didn't know quite a few of the people. And normally like when we had events, it was we had already known them or we had been to things before. And it was also really cool to see a lot of like new age groups that were involved. And it was a really exciting night, and to just kind of see that growth. But I think self-care specifically during that time was so important. And so it was like we were part of their home routines, and maybe even unknowingly, you know, became part of their day-to-day habits.
Oh, completely. In the beginning of quarantine, I remember being like, I have nothing to do. I'm going to make myself a skincare routine. All I've ever done in my life is just like wash my face, and that was it. And I made like this 9-step skincare routine.
No. You got like 10 shelves of products in your bathroom.
I tried everything out. The super amino gel cleanser, is that what it's called?
Cleanser,
I've gone through, no joke, that's the one product I've gone through the most in my entire life.
gosh.
I've gone through like 5. I hit up 2. I was like, can I have some more?
Yeah, whenever you need
please.
more.
It's amazing. And for me, it just felt so comforting. Like it was the one thing that I had that I could wake up and do and go to bed and do. And it's like the constant thing that I knew that I had during such an unprecedented time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why you guys grew so much. And what I really admire about you guys too is you can tell when you roll out products how much you care about each individual product. I feel like a lot of brands just keep pushing and pushing and pushing just product after product, and I can't even
to get
catch
sales
up.
or whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like you guys do the best job at like each individual little baby has its own time to shine, and I think it's really special.
I feel like it's intentional.
And we always think of what's the story behind that specific product, how does it fit into your routine, but everything from like the colors that we choose to the product to the name to then obviously the campaign imagery and everything around it is so well thought out, and we put so much time and love into each baby so that every product really does feel special.
I think it comes from being like influencers too. So you were like saying like PR packages, and I feel like we would get so much stuff and we would never want to try anything because I would be so overwhelmed by the amount of just
Especially
things that I would
skincare.
get. Yeah, there's just so many things. And so by launching singular products and like really giving each thing its time to shine, I feel like allowed people to like get to know it and love it before the next thing came. And so when we launched the brand, that's why we launched with one product, because we were like, okay, if people are going to be so overwhelmed, let's launch with one thing. And this was like when everything was millennial pink. And so coming out with like a blue tube was like so different from everything else. And so I think the packaging made it stand out, the color of the packaging, the product, and like, so that was a kind of like way that we kept going with everything.
And I think too, it allowed people to ease into using our products. So, we all obviously we all use a number of different products, and we're product junkies. We use a number of different brands. And so it gives, to do one at a time, it gives you time to incorporate that product into your routine, but you don't feel like you suddenly have to abandon all of these other products or brands that you use. It's allowed time to just sort of integrate it. Now we obviously
all
have
things Summer Fridays, body, face,
everywhere,
lips, everything.
But we eased into it. It wasn't like day one. And so I think for a lot of people who use and love our products, there is that sort of comfort in it where they've been able to ease into the products that they love.
Oh, completely. I totally agree with that. How did the brand come to be?
Yeah, so
the origin story.
Yeah, so in 2016, Lauren was really early pregnant at that point.
Yeah, I was 6 or 7 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And we were already kind of talking about doing something together, but in beauty specifically, and I was cleaning out all of my beauty products, and I was honestly in a bad mood because I was throwing out all of my things, and I was I can't use that. And especially when it was your first, it was my first pregnancy, and I was just that much more, I think, paranoid.
So hyper aware of all the chemicals and everything you're putting into your body.
So I was tossing everything, and we were frustrated. I was telling her about it, and obviously you at the time, and you were working with so many different beauty brands. And sort of this idea of a brand that had good for you ingredients and a brand story that really resonated with us came to be because there were other
and we
clean
felt
and
like
organic
at
brands.
the time they just felt like a lot of them just didn't resonate with who we were. We also didn't want to share them. This is so long ago, there was not even Instagram stories yet. So it's if a product wasn't beautiful enough to be on our feed, we didn't want to show it. Wow. And so we were the packaging has to be really photogenic, because if it's really pretty, then people will want to post it. But if it's not pretty, because we would get a product and we would love it, and we'd be like, I don't know if I want to post this packaging on my feed. It was very curated
Especially
at the time.
as the co-founders, if it's your baby, you want to be able to promo that everywhere. You know,
we wanted it to feel like the products were really, really effective and they worked, and we also wanted it to feel like there was this story behind it, and there was a feeling to it that felt really personal to us. And I think that's another reason why we've had so much growth, is we do try to make everything we do have this sort of personal story to it and a personal touch to it, so it feels like more than a product,
So that's how it started in 2016 with an idea, and then we sat down and we were like, let's just do it, and then we just went for it. And so I think we didn't really overthink it, and I think Lauren says all the time, ignorance is bliss. What you don't know actually is really helpful for us. And so we just started cold calling people and labs and seeing who would talk to us. And we ended up getting connected with a lab, and we dreamed up this formula for jet lag mask. And I shared the piece of paper recently of all of the things we wanted it to be and our original concept for it.
I know.
And once we got the formula back and we started testing it, we were so inspired and so obsessed with it. We were we have to move forward. We have to create this brand. And we just went for it. And we didn't know at the time that launching a brand with one product isn't something that you do, because it's really high risk, high reward, because if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, then your brand could fail. You can never even make it to a second launch if the first one doesn't succeed. And so we did, and we launched, and it was our dream to launch at Sephora. At the time we were going to launch direct to consumer, so that was kind of how we set up our business. But we made a box, because at Sephora you have to have a box to put on shelf. And so even though we didn't need a box for anything, we created it just in case Sephora wanted to carry us.
What do you mean by a box? A box?
So a box
that
goes in, because it has to
Oh.
sit in something on shelf. But if you're selling on your website, you don't need it. But we were let's just make it just in case.
Okay.
And we would walk around Sephora. We would visualize ourselves sitting on shelf. Yeah,
up and down.
We were we could be here, and then
this is where it would fit in.
And then we got connected with them, and we kept pitching ourselves, and we offered to fly ourselves up there. They didn't invite us to come. We were we can come up there. And they were okay, we'll set up a time.
I think we just told them. We were great, we're going to come. We'll be coming. Yeah. So we'll see you next week. Okay, great.
Yeah. But I love that, because I feel I'm sure there's other people who would look and be oh, well, you guys just got things handed to you. You were invited, Sephora chose you, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, that's not true at all.
No, it's so difficult. If you have to think of how many brands there are, and
skincare,
there's only
beauty?
so much shelf space. They only have so much room in store. So when they carry a new brand, somebody's leaving to make space for you, because each brand only has so much space in store. They're not expanding the stores unless you go into a bigger store. And so that's another benefit of being a brand that launches with one product too, because you can just take up.
Just let us
Well, if you just have one product, yeah, exactly. You won't even notice. But it was that. I feel it also really changed the business, because obviously then we had to operate all of a sudden a really big business. We're oh my God, okay, we're going to be at Sephora, but
Oh, so they just picked you guys
like we
up
need
after
someone
that
for
meeting?
operations.
Yeah.
And we need-
So
really
we
had
had
to
been
become-
speaking to them at months at that point, and then they ended up being like, okay, we want to carry you guys, and we like couldn't believe it. We took a video by the elevator when we left, and we were crying because we were like, oh my God, we can't believe that this is actually happening. And so then we were like in a fake it till you make it kind of mode. So like when you start talking to a retailer like that, they have all these acronyms for things. You have no idea what anybody's talking about. So we'd be on the phone and they'd like say something and we'd be like Googling. We'd be like,
like, yes, we definitely agree with that. Yeah, that is an issue. You're right. Yeah. We're gonna fix that. Yeah.
So then we launched in March of 2018. So we started working on the brand in 2016, launched in 2018. So it's been a journey for us of over 5 years now of working on the brand.
What was that launch like?
Oh my God, the launch was wild.
Well, first of all, Lauren had just had a baby.
Oh my God, I
So
forgot.
she birthed a baby
I did have
and a brand at the
during
same
this
time.
I like forgot about that.
You had 2 babies.
A small life thing small life things that were happening. The launch was like, it was wild. It was, I mean, we had we both are big dreamers and have high expectations and all of that, but it really surprised us in all of the best ways, and we ended up selling out really quickly. And there was such a genuine love for the product. There was such a genuine support like behind the two of us, which was also really incredibly special to see. So we had so much support.
Yeah.
And it was wild. It was so fast, like the way that it grew and spread, and the love for jet lag mask and people bringing it, traveling everywhere. And it just, I mean, the enormity of it really happily surprised us. But I will also say that I think like one of the things that we've always done and we still try to do is, even if a dream is really big and if it feels far away, we do like to operate as though it will happen. And I think that has been a really big point of difference in our business from day one. So even when we really didn't know what we were doing, we thought, okay, well, we know we want to be in Sephora one day, so we'll create the box or whatever it may be. And I think sometimes when you start an idea and it feels really small in the beginning, you know, we just, all of us kind of tend to sometimes cut ourselves short, like, oh, it's just this tiny thing and it's no big deal. And sometimes you almost do it for too long that it kind of starts to get into your head of like, oh, you're right, I am just too tiny and I won't be able to make it happen. But when even if you are small, but you operate in a way and with the mentality that you will become bigger, I do think it allows the space for that.
Even you being in that meeting with Sephora, if you were telling yourself it's just little, like you can't really present your brand and sell that to them if you're not really believing that.
Yeah. And then so they came on board, and it was like a funny story too. So you like go into this conference room.
Yeah, I'm like, what
you have
was
like
it
a
like?
presentation
So
and
good.
stuff to show them, and you like bring in your computer and you have to like show on the screen, and it wouldn't connect, and we were like sweating. We're like, oh my god, is that how it works?
And we're like trying to figure out the tech and the conference room. It's just one of those things where it's like the panic. You know, like how many more minutes? And the assistant came in. We're like, how many more minutes until they're in here? Like how many minutes do we have?
And so, I mean, it's been so amazing for us. And I think like the power of retail is still really great. And I know a lot of people want to launch direct to consumer. And so there's so many different ways to launch a brand now. But we think like, even if you're Rihanna still went to Sephora, and she has like such a big audience. And if she still needs a retailer to help support her brand, it's like these places are so good for discoverability. And like, we are so grateful to be there and to be on shelf. And even if you're there trying something else and you happen to walk across our brand and you want to buy something, that's a great place for you guys to try Summer Fridays for the first time. And so we are so happy for them. We love Sephora.
We love them. I know. We are very, very grateful. They've been such a significant part of the journey, obviously.
Yeah.
From the beginning. So
I mean, they're the mecca. That's where I want to be. How long did you guys wait after jet lag to launch the next product?
It was like
it was
6
while.
months.
I was
Yeah.
6 months, and we launched with a second mask. And so our first 3 products were all masks, and we didn't necessarily know from the very start what direction it would go in terms of how
Probably
kind of
good,
wide the
though,
collection
you know?
would be, if it would be just masks, if it would be all skincare, if it would have, we didn't know we were going to be doing body at that point. But then once we launched, we got so much feedback from our communities on what they wanted. And then the Summer Fridays community grew so significantly. And I feel like they always know what's happening.
Yeah.
By the way, like they always call.
They always
whatever.
guess everything before.
It's wild.
Really?
And I'm like, how do you guys do this? Like,
I don't know.
We both posted something recently, like totally unrelated. And then I asked, like, what kind of content do you guys want to see? And everyone was like, I want vanilla perfume. And I'm like, wait, this is not like a type of content. And I was like, this is so weird.
It's also not skincare specific.
No.
Like it wouldn't necessarily be something that I would think that people would guess.
But that's
and, like,
so
sometimes
special to
they
be
know.
able to pivot, like you were saying.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And like maybe you'll do fragrance, like you know, like there's so many avenues you can kind of go down.
It's so fun. I think like we love to be able to experiment and try things. I think like we can try these things as limited edition and see if something works. And if it does, we can keep making them.
But that's what I like, because I really do think, I don't know if you guys would agree, but I feel like we're past the whole like system of skincare era where it's like you buy this one brand, you have 10 different things.
Proactive of like when I was in high school.
Which we all did, by the way.
Yes, but now I feel like it's such a known thing now that, you know, different products work for different people and you can mix and match and blah, blah, blah. And I feel like the limited edition launches is perfect for that.
It's like so fun to do because we get to be like experimental and try different things. And so it's been so fun. Now we're like, basically, how can we have Summer Fridays like head to toe, all parts of like our body?
Like we just want everything on our vanity to like all feel, you know, like when something that we use all the time, we're like, oh, well then we need to make that.
Yeah.
That if we are obsessed with it, then we know other people will be obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Dinner, check. Shampoo, check. Morning coffee, check. Get everything that you need wherever you need it with DoorDash. You guys, I'm not just saying this. As soon as I finish reading you this ad, I'm going to be placing my DoorDash order for dinner. I'm going to get sushi from my favorite local restaurant, and I've been looking forward to it all day long. So DoorDash is amazing. It connects you with the restaurants that you love right now, right to your door. What's great is you not only can order from restaurants, but you can get grocery essentials that you need. If you need cups, if you need paper towels, if you need pretty much anything, it can show up at your door in less than an hour. Ordering is super easy. Open the DoorDash app, choose what you want from where you want, and your items will be safely left outside your door with a contactless delivery drop-off setting. With over 300,000 partners in the US, Puerto Rico, Canada, and Australia, you can support your neighborhood go-tos like my sushi restaurant, or choose from your favorite national restaurants like Popeyes, Chipotle, and the Cheesecake Factory. For a limited time, you guys can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code PRETTY. That's 25% off up to a $10 value and 0 delivery fees on your first order when you download the DoorDash app in the App Store and enter code PRETTY. Don't forget, that's code PRETTY for 25% off your first order with DoorDash. Subject to change, terms apply.
Random question. Did you have another name option for the jet lag mask?
For jet lag mask, no.
No.
We actually
I love the name.
So
Never.
product development, works in like a couple different ways. And it's so funny because for jet lag mask, we came up with the name of the product first.
Ooh.
And then we came up with the description of what we wanted it to do afterwards. A lot of times in product development, you come up with the product and then you get to the very end and you come up with naming based on like what the product looks and feels like or what it does. And then it's like the hardest process.
I mean, that's
trademarking.
mostly what happens. Like most of the time we end up spending like
But for
so
this
long
one, we
trying
did
to
it
figure out a
first.
name. Yeah, which maybe we should.
I know. You're like,
back to that because like that worked for us. Normally it's the opposite.
I literally remember whenever I go on a really long flight, like if we're ever, 10 hours or something like that, I always pack a skincare bag as if I'm going to use it, but I never do. That's my problem. My sister, on the other hand, skincare, like routine, like
She's
no
got the
other.
sheet masks
She has
on.
every,
I love it.
I want to be that person, but I distinctly remember always packing this because of the name. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to need it for my flight. Like for moisture.
And you can't really
skin.
tell, like once it soaks in, like you could be on a long flight and put it on and then it kind of just soaks in. You can't even necessarily tell that you have it on, which is nice if it's like a long flight, or if you said if you're not necessarily comfortable, like putting on a whole sheet mask.
You just put it like under your eyes.
A little bit. Oh my God, if you put it in, like also keep it cool and then you put on your
I
underwear.
keep mine in my little skincare fridge. I love it. When you guys, so you did the 3 masks, and then what was the next product after that?
Our vitamin C serum, our CC Me serum.
Yeah, and that was really born out of like customers asking us for something specific. And so we were really nervous going into our first product outside of face masks because we were like, okay, this is like a real skincare product, like outside of masks. Like, what are we doing?
And the competition is then becomes a lot different. Like, and not that of course there are lots of other masks, but we kind of felt like it was really so unique.
Specific,
It was so specific. And a vitamin C, obviously there are a lot of other brands and vitamin C serums or other products. So I feel like that also was like, we really started thinking like, what's our point of difference for each product,
Totally.
And that serum's like amazing. It's like literally, it smells so delicious. It works so well. It's like the best serum ever. We like cannot live without it. Lauren's like really using like a lot of it.
I know you're like, you could probably use less. I'm like, I don't think so. I'll go through like a bottle of
they're everywhere.
everywhere. And I cannot live without it. If I like run out of it while we're traveling, I have to immediately find Sephora fast. I need to go get it.
And
I don't not live without it.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. We'll get some for you guys. It's so good. So it helps with hyperpigmentation and dark spots. And I think the reason why people wanted that was we listened to our community, and I think the age group of our customer they were coming out of an age of like past acne and breakouts, but before they really needed anti-aging. So they wanted to help kind of get rid of like the acne scars, hyperpigmentation from the phases of like breaking out. And so we were like, let's listen to them. They kept saying hyperpigmentation and dark spots were issues that they wanted to address. And so we're like, let's create something for this specifically. It became like an instant bestseller for us. It still is now. And I think we were like, okay, if this is what our customer is asking for, we need to continue to create the things that they want. Like give them what they want, because obviously it's working.
And they tell us.
Yeah.
They're always very
vocal.
They're very vocal. Like they tell us what they like, what they don't like.
We get
all of it. It's very vocal, but it's good because, and then we're also able to make changes on certain things. You know, we repackaged our lip butter balm, and even though we loved our last packaging too, and it felt very cool, but it was like this packaging feels more practical, it's more functional. But these were we love that our community is so honest, because we can pivot quickly and we don't mind making changes either. Like we definitely don't fear that, and if we send something or we get a lot of feedback on something specific, we just make the change.
I think that's one of the main reasons, you know, that it has been so successful, because there's so many brands who are just on a high horse, or they don't want to listen. But then you think about it, it's like they're really shooting out in the dark, like, oh, hopefully this goes viral. When in reality, you're like, why don't we just listen?
Yeah.
Like what they want, you know?
Even in like YouTube terms, you want to ask people what they want to see, because then you're going to get more views, obviously, because it's what they want to see.
Yeah,
for sure.
I know sometimes I feel like and I mean, this can sometimes happen too with like much bigger, you know, more sort of like corporate type systems. But when you're sort of brainstorming what people want next, it always feels like people kind of talk about community as this like big dark cloud of like, and this is what the people want, you know? And it's like, well, you can just ask them, like it's us, like it's a word. So we it's actually a lot more, and especially now it's so accessible to ask people what they want, and it's not so far away. It's not like this huge guessing game. I honestly feel like it's
we had
a pretty intimate,
a big meeting, and we were like presenting our like products that actually came out this year. And we were like, let's just gut check with our followers, like what they want. And right before the meeting, we posted on Instagram stories, like a questions box, like what products do you guys want next? And they were like, body lotion, which was our next launch that was coming afterwards. And we're like, okay, like we're on the right page here. Like this is what people want. And so just like continuing to listen to them. And even as a small brand, we can make pivots, but sometimes things take a while. So even like with the packaging, like you pre-order so much packaging to have it ready, even if you don't fill it. So you have to be able to sell through that packaging first before you get to the next one. So even when you're doing things, it takes a little bit longer, or retailers already placed their orders. So it's not as fast
Can't
as
just
like
be overnight.
Yeah, doing it tomorrow. So it's like, we hear you. It just might take us a little bit of time, but like it's coming.
I mean, we want things overnight too, but everyone, it's like, sometimes it just doesn't happen that quickly, you know?
Especially when it came down to the pandemic. Were you even expecting skincare to really, like skincare took off, especially because everyone's home, they don't want to wear makeup. Like how was that when you wanted to come out with, you know, different products or things and it couldn't be overnight? Like what was it like on that side?
I would say we panicked like a lot of people did at the beginning, because like there was so much unknown. Well, first of all, we had just opened our headquarters that week. We started working there on Monday, and by Friday we were working from home.
Oh my God. And sent everyone home. I remember it was like Thursday at 2.
Yeah.
And we were like, what?
And every Friday we would send updates to our team, like, okay, one more week working from home, one more week working from home. And then I was like, okay, we can't send these every Friday anymore.
We stopped sending them. We're like, okay.
You're still doing it.
Because we're still working from home now.
Stopped sending those.
And so we were like, we had a launch. Actually, our lip balm launched in April. And we were like, what are we going to do? Do we still keep our launch? And so we decided to move forward. But like we just adapted. And like luckily our team was so quick to pivot. And a really fun thing we did was, we were at home. You know, everyone was like so into tie-dye at the time.
Oh, yes. We bought like 50 bottles.
Oh, yes. I remember we came out with tie-dye sweatsuits, and it sold out in like 2 minutes. And we were like, oh my God, 2 minutes? Want to wear?
Those were really comfy.
Wild. That was another moment kind of similar to when we launched Jet Lag, to where, of course, we knew we loved it, but we had no idea like the enormity of what sweat sets would be. And I think it was, again, sort of this like little moment of joy at home, because no one else could do anything, you know, you couldn't do anything else. And it just felt like something special to have at home. And
also it made you feel cute when you're in sweatpants. You're like, oh, I actually got ready today, when you like just, you know.
It was so fun for us to do. So now like merch is something that we like sell all the time, so we always have stuff. And it's nice because I feel like with makeup or hair, I can be like, oh my God, I love your hair, what did you use today? But with skincare, you can't really tell. So when you're wearing merch, you can actually see Summer Fridays on other people, and so it's a really nice tangible way of like being able to see the brand out in the wild. And so we love that. It's so fun.
That's so cool. I remember getting the sweat set and thinking, I've never had a beauty brand send me merch with their name on it really or anything like that. But it was so perfect and still encompassed the Summer Fridays brand, but in a sweat set, which was the perfect match together.
And then when there's a little gua sha thing.
Yes, and like little 5 minute thing. It was perfect in the bag. Like it was
little
all
surprises.
Perfect.
You know?
It was so good. Like along your PR and your events, I feel like encompass the brand so well, and I've never seen a brand do that in like an event before.
Well, I love your guys' bed pictures from our Heavenly 16.
So good.
I agree in the comments. It's like, is this just a bed on the beach? And I'm like, yes, it is.
Yep. Just a bed
Who
out
comes
on
up
the
with
beach.
that?
So really, I feel like from us being influencers, we think of things as like, would we want to go to this event? Like, do we want to take a picture here? Like, do we want this gifting? Because a lot of times we'll like bounce ideas off and we're like, I wouldn't even really want this. Like, you know, when you get stuff and you're like, okay, this is my donate gifting pile,
I have a
and this is
closet.
my keep pile. Like, what's gonna stay in the keep pile? And so when we're creating things, we want to like think of that. And so we have the most amazing marketing team, and we say it all the time, like we are forward-facing founders, so we get so much of the credit, but like there is an entire team of people, and you guys know some of them, who are so amazing, who work on the brand, who are like so obsessed with all things Summer Fridays, that really just get the brand. And I think by hiring people who are your target consumer, they create the stuff that they also want to see and like buy. And so we have such a great team of people that they come up with really good ideas.
Yeah. And there is a lot. I think you don't always see it or realize it, but so much thought that goes into
Oh, it's so obvious.
every step and
Like, it is
everything,
very
you know. And
obvious.
it's, I mean, those kinds of things don't always get shared, but it really is. It's like it's such a team effort of like an idea and then actually sourcing whatever it is, and then picking the colors and then putting it in the right spot. So there are so many different steps to it, but we also try to make it for the events themselves, we also try to make it very easy and intuitive for people coming. So where are you taking the picture? And maybe there's one option, maybe there's 2 or 3 options, but it's just like, it starts to feel very intuitive and easy so that people, I feel like you come and you enjoy and you can get the content that you need to get, but it's not hard. Like, you know, when sometimes it almost feels stressful. How do I get the content and be present? And we just want people to come and there to be a sense of ease to it.
Yeah.
So that's always something in mind when we're
For those of you who don't know, we went to a Summer Fridays event a few weeks ago in Malibu, and there was this air mattress, right? Air mattress, beautiful, like white duvet on the sand, and this like beautiful huge mirror. And when we posted it on our Instagrams, we got so many people being like, what? Like, there's
I want to lay on a bed on the beach.
how'd you bring that out there? And I was like, luckily we didn't have to. But, no, oh my God, it was so dreamy. Like,
You have
it
to
was
like
even just fun.
create the Instagram moments for people to like take the content. Cause like the whole point is like to go, like we go somewhere and then we're like, oh, there's nowhere to take a picture.
Yes.
The whole point is like, I got dressed up. I'm here. I like want to take
Exactly.
something. And so, and we also don't want it to feel like overly branded. So like, even when you're taking your Instagram moment, it's not like big Summer Fridays logos everywhere. Cause like you want to take organic type of content. And so we think of that for ourselves too. And like we even time the event to be right before sunset so that you get your golden hour picture.
Oh my
So then dinner
I think we're one of
starts
the
right
only
when
ones
we
who
start.
don't
dinner is planned.
So like we time everything.
all of the
Yeah.
details.
the food, the donut, everything was so good.
I have to tell you guys an anecdote that happened there. So we got there extra early, and we're never early.
Oh, this is hilarious.
We're never early, but we were there. And we had the sunset pictures. We were like, oh my gosh, we're the only people getting
We
like
were the first people
best
there, and then we were the
lighting.
last to leave.
Yeah, we loved
it.
it. But we were sitting there waiting around because we've been there for a while now. So we're just like sitting, and then this one girl walks in. I've never met her before, and she was like, "Hi," and Alicia's like, "Hey," and we had just gone on a different brand trip, and that was like the first brand trip since the pandemic.
We now say, what's your main social media platform? Because before it was always, what's your YouTube? What's your Instagram? And we met an influencer in San Francisco on this other brand trip who was like, oh, I do Facebook Live. And I was like, I was not expecting Facebook. They're like, yeah, you don't have to edit. Like, I just go on Facebook Live. And I was like, what is the world now? Like, there's so many different platforms and everything. So she walks in, she sits down, and I'm like, obviously I'm good at this now. So I was like, what's your main preferred social media platform? And she says TikTok. And I was like, oh, awesome. So we're talking about that for a little bit.
Yeah, Alicia's like, oh, like I'm Alicia, and she's like, hey, Alicia, and I was like, I'm Remy, and she goes, hi, Remy, like in a weird, strange voice, and I was like, that was odd, but we'll carry on. So we're just like chatting, and then all of a sudden she tells me, I was like, oh, where are you from? She says, Anaheim Hills. I said, I'm from Anaheim Hills. She goes, I know. We went to middle school together. Isn't that nuts? I haven't seen her since
and you just
middle
hadn't
school.
put it together?
I didn't. She looks very different also. I mean, we all were really ugly in middle school, but like she made I was like, oh my God, girl, you look amazing. And like, it was so cool to like catch up with her, and now we're gonna get lunch together. But I didn't even know she was on TikTok.
Yeah.
She's huge on TikTok. I was
Oh
like,
my God.
Wednesday, October 6th through Wednesday, October 13th, upgrade your fall shoe and boot rotation at Macy's Great Shoe Sale. You guys, seriously, I am a boot queen. I love boots so much. It's the perfect time to find the perfect finishing touch to every fall look. And the more you buy, the more you save. Check out the newest styles from top names like Madden Girl, Kenneth Cole, DKNY, Inc., Sam Edelman, and so many more. Head to any Macy's store or Macy's.com to find the perfect shoe this fall.
The last year and however much, like, people have full careers from TikTok.
Yes.
Like,
and it happened within a year.
Within the pandemic, like, they
wild.
went in with like a normal job and came out with 1 million followers. It's insane.
It's really cool to see, actually.
It's so cool. I think I noticed it the most from Fashion Week recently. And so we were like, neither of us went this season. We usually go and we'd skipped. And I kept seeing everyone's content and it was all TikTokers at shows. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just a shift. Video content is really, which is why you guys have this. It's like amazing because people really want video. They want to see stuff. And then even having like the clips from like these episodes on TikTok, like people want to see it on different platforms. Like I always watch people's podcast clips on TikTok.
And it makes you go watch
the full episode. Yeah. Or I'm like, I get 10 clips on TikTok. So but it's so amazing now. And so now I think our team is growing. We're like, oh my gosh, like, even within the influencer team, it's like each type of content and influencer and things are just so different and evolving, and like how people share stuff is so different now. It's just like, it's a crazy time because we've been doing this for so long now, and you guys have too, that it feels like,
and there's so many different platforms.
Oh my God, even Instagram not having stories, or like back when it was the brown logo, like it's changed so much.
Snapchat. I saw you guys were you were filling a position and you put it out on TikTok. And I thought that was so cool. Did you see they were like searching for their submit? And I saw so many really cool submissions from there. Were you able to hire someone from TikTok?
We did.
I love it. And it's how we found the
What is advice for anyone listening who wants a job like that and they see, a TikTok saying apply? Like, what were you guys looking for?
So we have a really great team who looks through all of like the applicants and stuff now. And I think what happened was at the very beginning, we were interviewing people, but I think people have followed us for so long, they get really nervous in interviews. And so it's like better that our team manages the interviews and stuff now, because I think they get a more genuine interview. Because I think if you come in to meet us, even people who are older than us for other positions that are like not marketing related, we think they just get like a little bit.
I think they just get nervous. Or they almost too well. They don't know too much of like our personal
lives. Or they don't want to seem like they know too much about you.
Right.
Or like
they want to like pretend like they don't know anything. But then, and it's just that. So now we have an amazing team who helps.
We have our producers do that too, because I totally get it.
But I think with like hiring specifically, like it doesn't have to be just beauty unless there's like a beauty specific job. Like obviously if it's product development, you need skincare experience. But on our marketing team, we have people that have came from fashion. We have people that came from like home goods. We have people that came from like accessories. So they come from different departments and they all just have really good ideas. So for entry level positions, it's more like, are you a hard worker? Like we're still a small business and you have to wear a lot of hats and you have to be a team player. And I think that's what we're looking for. On TikTok specifically, it was like, is your video engaging? Do you know how to edit content? And you have to really like editing, because like it's more than just watching TikToks all day. Like you have to actually like the behind the scenes work of the job. And so I feel like so many brands now are looking for TikTok creators. And so
it's new.
It's so new.
It's so new. Like TikTok creators, they've been like you've been doing it for a year. Yeah. Like it's so different, because even with Instagram, it was like, okay, can you create Instagram content? But maybe by the time people were really hiring those roles, they had been doing Instagram for several years at that point. Whereas like TikTok is so new. And it's also a big reason we like needed help and we needed someone on the team, but it also is new for them. Like so much is changing because the platform's changing and it's still kind of new for everyone.
Yeah. What better way to find someone to make you TikToks than have them make a TikTok? Like that's ingenious.
Yeah.
How many employees do you guys have now?
We're about like 30.
Oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
In
5 years?
We actually did grow. A lot of our team joined while we were not, well, we're still not back in our office, but while we were out, I mean, it actually worked very seamlessly. We were able to trade and bring people on board, and we have very good Zooms.
Very productive meetings.
I know, we do. We're trying to build that digitally, because we haven't been back in our office. But I also will say, because we'd only been in our office for 4 days before we all went home, it kind of made it very seamless to just work from home, because our whole team was already really used to working on their own. So there wasn't like a huge shift, or no one had to like really settle into a new normal. If anything, I think the office for 4 days felt like, felt like this big change. Oh my gosh, we're coming into an office now. And then when we went back to going back to home, it was like, okay.
You just finished decorating.
Literally, it was like, when you like put your pens, like the stapler. I was like so excited about my stapler.
I bet. Oh my
using
God.
that
I would
anymore.
love to see behind the scenes on like Summer Fridays TikToks of like working there and like development and like all that
Okay, you can
stuff.
come consult for us.
I love that idea. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's like such a guessing game of like what do you actually share on there, and I
know.
feel like it's such like a, and you never know. Like obviously, if we knew something could go viral, we would just do it all the time. But like
know.
you never know. I don't know if you guys saw this girl on TikTok recently. Her name was like Emily. She was making like the salmon rice bowl with avocado. Okay, tell me
You
what,
sent it to me.
guys.
I want it.
She's getting 100,000 followers every single day. Yesterday on Monday, she was at.
Okay, wait, I need. How am I behind on
Monday
this?
she was like 500,000. Last night I checked, she was like 720.
Oh God.
She's literally growing so fast. But I looked because I was like, is she just posting recently? They did this one salmon bowl go viral, and then all of a sudden she's posting. I scrolled back. She's been posting on TikTok every single day for a really long time, and all of a sudden one video hit.
Oh my
and
God.
all
That's
of the
all it
videos since that are all really high views, and people are like dying for her, and like
they're
everyone's eating
invested.
this like salmon rice bowl, which I'm like, okay, I really want to make this. Like I don't like cook
so
salmon at home,
simple,
but like now
though.
I really need to because it looks so
That
good.
sounds really good right now.
It's like something about the way that she does it, and like the ASMR of like the noises of like the
Yes.
crunching when she's opening the bag. The videos are so simple. They're not overly edited. The recipes look like you can actually make them. So anyway, moral of the story is like post consistently. You never know what one thing will hit.
Yeah.
And then I think that one thing hit, and then she was just on it. Like I think sometimes you
You
go
have
viral and then you're like,
consistency.
I don't know what to post again, so then you just never post again.
Yeah.
It's like this. She was just like, okay, I'm just gonna like go for
Yes.
it.
Good
for her.
And
But also like benefit of it not being her first video. Like sometimes I
Yeah.
think that's
Yes.
the other thing. Well, especially when in the beginning of TikTok, it
Lauren's
was
first
like,
video went viral. Her son's
They
snowboarding.
always they do that. I
of like
swear.
my son snowboarding, but I had never made. That was literally like the first TikTok I posted, so I didn't even know how to make a TikTok after that. I was like, okay, that's great. Like a lot of people watch that, but now I don't. Now I have no
What
idea.
do I do?
Pressure.
It's
What to
too much
do.
pressure after
I was like,
that.
it's a lot of pressure. But when you do something consistently, it also just shows like. You do. I think everyone always thinks like, oh, it's just happened overnight, but it's like she obviously then knew what to create.
And she already
then-
had a YouTube channel. She was already on Instagram, and now she's been plugging her YouTube on her thing. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is so smart. Like she's already getting people to go to other platforms. So I don't know her full
and like
handle.
how
It's Emily
amazing
something,
for
but
so many. I just always think all the time like all the creative people that get to have these amazing careers, and there's room for so many of us to do that. And this was not an option.
No,
In
I always think about that. Like when I was in
years-
high school, or everyone's like, "What do you want
Yeah.
to do with your life?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, and it wasn't even a thing then.
No.
Like the jobs my kids are gonna have one day probably aren't even a thing right now, and that's insane.
crazy
Which is
to
like,
think about.
Isn't it crazy?
wild,
You couldn't have majored in that. Like when,
Yeah.
when we were in
Like, no wonder
college,
our
you couldn't have
generation was
chosen
like,
that
we don't know what
major.
we're doing.
yeah,
No.
Oh my God, I've never thought about that before. That
And
our
everything
kids
was
will have
much more in a
jobs that
box.
don't even exist yet.
Even we just met up with a famous TikToker. Her name's Courtney. We love her. And she has been a longtime fan for a long time, and always used to make fan edits. We each got dinner with her separately, and she was saying how years and years of like making edits, she started her own channel, and now she's on TikTok and it blew up. And she's like, I have all this experience from making like fan edits, and that like really catapulted my career. And it's just so crazy to me. And now she's like, oh, I want to be, behind the scenes of a brand or work with another influencer or something. And I'm like, it's just so crazy to me how like that, just a simple hobby, which, we obviously know led her to that. And then it was also interesting hearing just like, what's it like on the TikTok side? Cause they're like, oh, well, 1 million followers is like 10 million on YouTube. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
But I'm like, how does that work? Like seeing the different
Yeah.
like connection that way.
Yeah.
Or even how there's just like random people who have like millions of followers who we have no idea about, because it's just like so much easier to get followers on TikTok. But it's such a crazy world. And I'm like,
Very
I feel
crazy.
old.
I can't keep up.
I know, I can't keep up.
You guys feel old. I feel old.
We're definitely feeling old if you feel old. But I think it's just because it changes so fast.
Yeah.
Like even like I was talking to my brother's younger, and he's a senior in high school, and like even they were joking that like they felt old about something, and that like the
Wow,
freshmen
okay.
were doing. I was like, what?
I'm not allowed to say that.
no,
But it's like all the tech changes so fast, and like the trends change, and so it's like always evolving. That's why I just think you find your things, and then you evolve and you do them. But it's just like everything's
I was
changing.
gonna say,
so fast.
even Instagram saying they're no longer a photo platform and they do video.
Yeah.
Like we built our careers off of photos, so it's so weird to untrain your mind.
I refuse. All right, you guys know here, Pretty Basic, we love Skillshare. If you guys have not heard of Skillshare, it is the most incredible online learning community where you can take classes in literally anything. If you want to take a cooking class, a calligraphy class, a photography class, anything, languages, whatever it is that might spark an interest for you, you can take on Skillshare, and it is so easy and so convenient. So Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. With so much to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives, Skillshare empowers you to accomplish real growth. I actually was recently on a flight and they had Skillshare courses on the flights. I love being mentally stimulated, and especially on something as boring as a flight. I was taking classes to learn some things in Mandarin. I thought it was honestly so much fun, and I thought just such a cool thing to offer on something like a plane, or, you know, I can take them at home. You can take them wherever you want. Basically, it's just so great to just be learning as you go. They have classes on there for like YouTube success. As I said before, they have cooking classes. I've taken a food styling class before on there. That was so helpful because that's something that I've never done before. And I learned so many amazing little tricks and tips and things that I never would have known. What's great is that they have classes that are designed for real life, and Skillshare is also incredibly affordable, especially when compared to pricey in-person classes and workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. Explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/basic and get a 1-month free trial of a premium membership. That's 1 month of a free premium membership at Skillshare.com/basic. I know I'm not going to grow, but I just refuse to give in to it.
But it's like, it's so, I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I love taking pictures, so I don't think that's going anywhere.
I know. I was just going to say, I do feel like there are still, like, speaking of like creatives being able to do things, like I think some people are amazing at creating videos, and if TikTok's really working, or if they do reels or lives or whatever, I would love for that to do well. And then I also think there are incredible photographers.
Oh my God, amazing.
And people who are super creative at like just taking a picture a specific way, or certain angles or lighting or whatever, you know, whatever it is.
I think
and
also the niche
I still
in
want
your
that
audience.
to be able to do well, because I think there are a lot of people who are so talented at that.
Oh my
so
God, completely.
I hope there's room for both.
I think there truly will be,
because
the craze of like video right now is insane, but a lot of that does appeal to a younger demo for sure.
Well, I feel like you only have so much time to like watch TikTok. So like at TikTok, like I have to watch it at night at home, because I'm not like watching TikTok when I'm like out somewhere, because it's like weird to like watch video and like need to get my headphones out. But like I can look at Instagram pictures when I'm out.
True.
So I
You're
feel like
waiting
there's
in
like a
line
time and
somewhere.
place for like the different platforms.
That's very
like
true.
driving in my car is like listening to podcasts.
Yes.
Somewhere where I'm like need to pass the time is like scrolling through Instagram, and then at night like by myself for like, it should be 30 minutes, but it's more like 2 hours.
Literally.
We've been doing YouTube for so long, and we were doing it by ourselves for so long, and then eventually we realized like, oh shoot, we need to ask for help, and we kind of had we kind of had some trouble giving up a little bit of the workload. Delegating. How was it for you guys? Obviously, it's your baby, and it was just you two, and then eventually, I'm sure, obviously, it reached a point where you're like,
later.
oh, we need a little bit more help. Was it hard for you to give up some control?
It still is a bit of a journey, but I will say that we have always said from the beginning that we know what we're the best at, and we know what we are not the best at. And there are a lot of things that we are not the best at. We don't know a lot about things like operations and supply chain, or we've never been CEOs of a company before, and understanding things like legal documents and contracts and all of those things that we can figure out, and we did for a period of time. We just figured it out when we had to. But then as your company grows, I think if you don't bring on team members and leaders who really are experienced in a certain space, your company can kind of peak and then I think fall. And we knew that we really wanted to have a lot of growth. And so we didn't want to stunt our own growth because our ego was getting in the way. And so we're very much okay with like taking our ego out of it and saying, we know that we are really good at this specific thing. Like for us, marketing is really big for us. We're hyper involved in that. And then the other things that we're not the best at, we really appreciate our team members who come in. And, it's just more, and now it's really more about like the systems in place of communication. I would say that is probably the biggest sort of hurdle when you grow, because everything goes from maybe just communication between a couple of people, us and maybe one or two other people. And then all of a sudden, if a team has 10 people on it, and then you're working with, people who you're consulting with or whatever it might be, it can end up turning a bit into telephone.
Oh,
until it gets really organized,
with somebody on our marketing team. We were like, wait, which person do we go to for which thing? Because we were like emailing the wrong people. Because we have a pretty large marketing team now too, and everyone does something very specific. So we need to make sure we're like the right person is getting the right direction for things. And I think for us, like a hard part too is being forward-facing founders, a lot of the good and the bad falls on you. So like you get a lot of the credit, but when something's not so great, like I hate my lip balm packaging, it's your fault.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's so much pressure, and so we just try to like reiterate that to our teams. Like, okay, whenever we're doing this for the brand, we need to make sure we're like saying this in the right way or doing the right thing, because ultimately it falls on the brand, but it also falls on us personally. So that's when it's hard to like let go a little bit, because it's like, okay, like we're still
You have a lot more at stake.
Yeah, exactly.
And you just care, like that relationship feels even that much more personal. Like if someone doesn't receive a package on time and they, message us, that feels like so. I'm like, oh my god, they need
so
to
bad.
their package. Like they just spent their money on the and
They unfollow.
there's this like personal feeling to it that just feels, I think, probably so much more significant than if it felt like just someone behind a screen that we didn't know, or someone
Because like you let them down, and that's how they feel.
And it's like, I feel like they've invested in us and supported us, and now they support the brand, and so you just feel inherently more connected, and then you also just feel the weight of all of it.
Oh my God. I relate to this so much because my sister and I launched a clothing brand and we're both co-founders. So I'm literally sitting here like, I feel like knowing you would be a CEO, but not realizing you would be a CEO and all that comes with that, the good and the bad, the telephone, even just certain lingos that I'm like, I've never really struggled with imposter syndrome, but definitely feeling like, oh my God, do I know what I'm doing? Like, did I screw up everything? Like, is this like, oh my gosh, I totally relate with all of that.
Yeah, there's so much like second guessing yourself, but like everyone is figuring it out as you go, and like no company runs perfectly. We were talking about it literally on the way here. Like everyone makes mistakes, so don't feel like just because like you might have messed up something or something happened or like shipping dates or whatever. Like,
oh my God,
the smallest and the biggest companies all deal with it, just like on a different scale. So like no one's business is running perfectly, and so I think by other people sharing like, we all have our mistakes. We all like stuff happens. Just know like you're not alone, and everybody else is going through it.
Like all businesses just operated magically, and if something ever went wrong within our own business, I was like, oh, we are totally doing it wrong. I was like, now what's gonna happen? And it's not it. It just happens. Like in all businesses, whether even the biggest companies, I mean, you see have things happen, and it just does, and then it's like, okay, then what do you do with it, and how do you?
So what's one of the biggest pieces of advice you would tell yourselves in 2018, like right before launch?
Ooh. Buckle in.
I think
I would say like for us, it really was like what Lauren says about like ignorance is bliss. Is like it's not knowing what we don't know.
Yeah, I think I would tell myself to not be concerned about what we don't know, and to know that that will actually become, I think, our biggest strengths. I think if I could have known that of all of the things we don't know actually kind of turned into our biggest successes, honestly. And I think even COVID was a really good example of that. Now it's kind of much easier in hindsight to say, what did you guys, what did we do during the pandemic? And what did we launch and all of these different things? But it's easy to say that now that we're in a certain stage of it. But when it was happening, it was so even week to week, and it was day by day, and no one really knew, and you just kind of kept going. And I would say that would probably be, I guess, the other piece of advice is to just to evolve and to keep going, and to know that this idea of your company in your head on day one is likely not what your company will evolve into. And you have to have the openness to evolve into that. Because I think sometimes in a certain moment of time, you're like, this is what my company is going to be, and this is what people are loving right now. And it might be, but then in 2 years, things might be really, really different, and the world might look really differently. And so if you can't evolve and have that openness, then your company
who thought we were ever going to launch hand sanitizer?
Here we are. People love our hand sanitizer. That's
never would have thought we were going to make it.
Never would have thought.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's wow.
I think if you stick too close to your original plan, you become stagnant. There's no room for growth or adaptation or anything like that.
We love to like change and evolve and like try different things, and it's been so fun.
It's really fun. That's awesome. One thing that I'm very, very, very picky on in my life is what razor that I use to shave my entire body. I've always been really particular about what I use because I love to get the smoothest shave. I like my skin to feel really nice and soft. I hate when you go through all of the work of shaving whatever it is that you're shaving and then it's still stubbly after. Do I have the solution for you? Athena Club's products make it more fun and easier to shave. The razors are pretty, gentle on the skin, and leave you feeling with moisturized, smooth, bump-free skin. Athena Club's razor is designed with built-in skin guards to help prevent razor burn while being gentle on curves. It's no wonder the razor has thousands of 5-star reviews. The razor is surrounded by a water-activated serum with shea butter and hyaluronic acid, which is a holy grail for skincare. Seriously, guys, my body just cannot take normal razors without any sort of like gel or any sort of like product on the actual razor head, because I don't know, my skin just like never responds well to it. So I'm a big fan of razor heads that have built-in serums or just something to help just glide along my skin, and this one is amazing. The best part is the razor kit is only $9 and comes with 2 blade heads, a magnetic hook for shower storage, and your choice of handle color. No joke, guys. That is the most inexpensive razor and set that I've ever heard of, and for how great this is, it's worth every penny. Show your skin you care with the Athena Club Razor Kit. Sign up today and you'll get 20% off your first order. Just go to athenaclub.com and use promo code BASIC. That's ATHENACLUB.com with promo code BASIC for 20% off.
Well, we are best friends and we have a business together, as you can see. What has it been like for you guys running a business together as best friends? Are you best friends also, by the way?
Yeah, we are.
Like, sorry to call you out here. Sorry for not best friends.
No, we are.
And I think people always ask us like, oh my God, do you guys like really get along? And we're like, no, we like really do. Like, we don't argue. And I think before you get into business with anyone, you have to have the same common goal in mind. And I think you need to establish that before you even go into a friendship, a working relationship, a personal relationship, that like, do you guys ultimately want the same thing? And if you do, it makes every decision along the way a lot easier, because you know you have this common goal of like what's best for the business or whatever it is that you're doing. But if you're going into it and like, I want one thing and she wants something else, we're going to butt heads with every decision because it's not really leading to the same place we want to go to. So I think setting that up ahead of time is so perfect. And we're also really similar but different. So we're complementary in a lot of ways. Like Lauren and I are like working styles a little bit different. Like
very, very different. But it actually works.
Elaborate.
Well, I definitely overthink a bit more, I would say. Like Mariana is very decisive. And I definitely overthink things, but it actually ends up becoming a really good balance, because I feel like you really put, when we have to make a decision, it gets done and we push and things move along. But there are also times where we need to not make decisions as quickly. Like we need to maybe like sit on it for a night, or we need to just like really think something through. And so I feel like it balances out really well. I also am very much like, I was just joking because I was doing something for my son, getting him to applying to kindergarten. Oh, and I was joking with her that on the way, I like ended up just like staying up all night, basically the day before it was due. But that's just, that is my personality in a lot of things. Like if we have like a big project that's like due by a certain deadline, I creatively just work best with under pressure. Like I love the pressure and I'm best with that. Whereas like you, I feel like to have a little bit
I like my time. I like schedule stuff out. And so in times where like I need to slow down, because like you don't always want to make a fast decision on things. Like you don't always want to follow your gut intuition like at the beginning. And so Lauren's like, okay, let's like, we don't need to tell them right now. Let's think about it for like a day. Let's get back to them tomorrow. And then I'm like, oh, actually you're right. Like, and so it's so good.
Even if the decision doesn't change, it's just like, you almost feel better about giving it.
I need to work on that.
And so it's such a good balance of like similar and different. And then with our strengths, like within the company, we do oversee a lot of the same stuff like product development and marketing. And so those things that we don't know how to do, we hire for. And I feel like we have such a great team. So we have such a good working relationship and friendship. The friendship hasn't been affected by the work, and we actually just like miss our time together, because we used to travel so much for work and we haven't got to. So now we're like, we need to go like just create a work trip for ourselves. So we can like
that's literally the biggest. I think it's like probably, well, especially because it kind of used to be my like mom life break too. So that, like our work travel was also kind of this time where it was just like some solo time, and I felt like we worked so creatively. So many of our product ideas would happen when we were like on a flight, or like just so much of that ideation. And we don't have that as often. So we're trying to create it, but we'll get back into that.
We knew we would work well together because we can travel well together. And I feel like that's the the number one way you can tell if you'll vibe with someone is like, if you can actually travel with them in a hotel room.
That means a lot.
And like genuinely really supporting each other and cheering each other on. And I think for a while we kind of just thought that was a given. We're very fortunate that that's always really been like very true and genuine to
like
our
what's
core.
a mature relationship?
But until people like started asking us so often, and then we're almost like surprised that, we were actually really friends. We're like, and we actually do work really well together. And if something's not working, like we tell the other person, and it's just always been that way. And we're also like very supportive of each other's personal like decisions and career things. And we do a lot together, but we also do a lot of things separately. And we like genuinely really cheer each other on. Like Mariana will always say like anything that I need like advice on or inspiration or whatever it is. And it's whether it's in like work
Big life things.
big life decisions, and we're always really a part of each other's lives in that sense too.
I love that.
And I think that
We're also
been,
neighbors, so
yeah,
it's like
we also
we're
live very
really
close to each
better.
other.
Yeah. So we like literally like drive everywhere together. We like do so much.
Yeah.
Like we talk like outside of like working hours. So it's like we are basically always talking. So
Yeah.
about any and everything.
That's amazing.
I feel like you guys are
we feel very
literally,
grateful.
like us,
I
but like
know.
way more
I love
like
that.
chic.
way better. The Walmart and the Chanel version. I was
Cooler,
Lauren, I was
prettier.
imagining you like when your son goes to school, he's gonna have projects and school projects, and you're just like the night before, just like throwing it all together for him.
Yes, that will be me. Or like it'll be snack. It'll be like my turn to bring snack, and I'll be frantically pulling it together. Where I just
You're gonna want it to be like
operate
neutral, and
better
he's like,
that
"Mom,
way."
I want red and blue."
Oh, he already tells me that.
creams.
I'll like have his outfit out, and he was like, "Where's all the color?" And I'm like, "This, it's
gonna be like, "It's too aesthetic."
nice
No, it's not my aesthetic. That's so funny. Okay, well, you are an OG blogger, Mariana, like
I
the
am.
OG blogger. How I feel like you guys are obviously like you have an influencer side to your brand, but I feel like you especially kill it because you have such an insider perspective on everything. So how do you juggle, obviously, you have your podcast, YouTube, everything, your whole social media life? How do you juggle that while also having a full-on company?
So it was really difficult, I think, until like a year ago. Like until our team really started to grow, there was no balance. Like it was just doing any and everything you could. Because I think when you get hired for a company and you have a certain job, like these are your responsibilities and this is your title. But when you're a founder, you do any and everything from the very small, tiny thing to like the biggest decisions. So like there is no thing too large or too small for you to do when you have your own business. So for so long, we were just like, where can we help? What can we do? Let's just do any and everything. And so I think our influencer life kind of took a back seat to that while we grew Summer Fridays because that was really our focus. And now that we have more of a team, we can do the other things. So from my podcast, every like highly productive person, I was like, how do you do it? Like a lot of these people have like multiple companies, like big companies. I'm like, and they have kids. I'm like, how do you do this? So their tips were doing certain types of tasks on different days and setting that up so you're not switching between different activities.
Oh.
So Monday.
I do this now, by the way. She implemented this for me.
And it's the best. And so
it changed my whole life.
because there's two of us and there's two of you, I'm sure people want to take phone calls or do stuff with the two of you, but to try to find a day in the week that works for both of you is like a little frustrating. So for us, Mondays is our Summer Fridays heavy day. So all of our calls, meetings, Zooms, interviews, anything we need to do together is on Monday in our calendar. So we already know like.
And we never schedule anything else. But
No.
like even on like a personal end or like a work end.
It's just like,
you're like,
and
no
then we just know
Mondays.
because instead of being like, are you available next Thursday at 2 p.m.? It's just like,
so
okay,
much.
Monday, just like stack it all on Monday. So Monday, Summer Fridays, Tuesday is podcast. So that's the day I record with other people. I record on other people's podcasts, prep for episodes, edit next week. Wednesday is influencer day. So I know that morning I need to get up. I need to wash my hair. I need to do my makeup because I'm going to take content that day.
Oh, wow.
Thursday is like a floating creative day or like if there's other meetings or stuff we need to do, that's an open day. And then Friday is no calls, no meetings.
Good for you.
So Fridays
Summer
are
Fridays.
Well,
Summer Fridays, baby.
Summer Fridays.
Fridays.
And then it's all like the personal stuff, kind of like all the things sound silly, but they kind of add up. Like literally like going to the dentist. Like I know that sounds like a silly thing.
no.
But
We
like,
get
you know,
it.
when you're always like, I just don't have time to go to like
I've
the
put it off
doctor. There's
for
so many
months.
doctor's appointments and just like like you want to get your nails done. All those kind of random things, but it's like they take up a lot of
Well,
time.
I think also working, being your own boss or working from home on your own, what's hard is, if you were at a 9 to 5, you can't get your nails done until after work, but when you're kind of able to at 1, but that throws off your call that you're supposed to have. And then the mental shift of, I need to prep for this call that's going to take 20 minutes. And then it's a whole different company like that. It really is mentally exhausting.
Yeah. And so I think that's really helped for me a lot. And I think with Summer Fridays, we're able to delegate a lot. But I think as influencers, you guys know we can't really delegate that much.
I know. It's hard.
You
You're
are
like, can
in the
someone else
content,
film
you
this
can edit,
one?
you can do stories. So like you can't. So like there's only so much to like your capacity of what you can do. And you can kind of delegate some, but like not really. And so I feel like most of the delegation comes within like Summer Fridays because we have a team, but like the other stuff,
It's all you.
it's all
and
you.
you're
And
always
have
thinking
to.
about it. I
And
mean,
there's
like
so
you
many
guys, like-
platforms now. So there's like
That's
even
what I was
within
just gonna say.
Instagram, it's like stories, feed, reels, video, like live, like so you need so many different types of content just for one platform. And so I feel like you need to allow
for
yourself
one platform
to
on one day. Like I think about even on any given day, I'm like, I did like I just do sharing links to something and and then you're like creating a video and then maybe you went live with someone that day. And it's like so many
feels
things
like
you
you
can
did
just for one
nothing.
platform. And you're like, what did I do today? You know? And then if you're doing it across multiple platforms,
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
Oh my gosh. It's just so funny because I'm thinking there's so many people and like other smaller influencers who I know look up to you guys and they're like, they have their life together. Like I want to be there. And it's just so funny. Like it's nice hearing that you guys are also like, no, it's overwhelming, but like we've made these little,
Like I always feel like we're kind of figuring it out.
Yeah.
Well, it's like we have a system and then you kind of have to like edit the system, you know.
and every
And I
week's
feel
so
like
different.
Lauren's is different too because like I have more flexibility because I don't have kids, but like Lauren has kids, so she has to like be more
everything kind of
structured.
like runs on that schedule too. Like now I just, my
We have two tiny humans
calendar-
with full calendars.
Yeah. Well, I
And, like-
forget. I know that you guys are gonna laugh at this because like now. So my son is 4, and he has so many things now. Like he has soccer practice and t-ball, and then he has like ice cream
my
Sunday
God.
party and a birthday party in school. And I honestly
You're
like
his personal
I
assistant.
know,
What a
I feel like I'm
well-rounded
supposed to
kid.
say- And then I forgot. I was like, oh, babies turn into like humans with real schedules and like all the things. And you don't really think about when you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a baby, and it's like you know, babies like cry and they're up all night and all of that. But I sort of like didn't even think to the
You're like,
to,
his schedule.
like the like small person phase of like, oh, I have to still, and they can't drive. I have to drive them every day. Like,
shoot, the next 18 years.
so I'm like, okay, like I have to get him off. So now everything is by that calendar of like, okay, when am I dropping him off? And then when am I picking him up?
Yeah.
Or is my husband picking him up? Like it's just those kinds of things that all runs by a calendar.
Yeah.
So I also started to put in, which this was another thing you actually told me a while ago, of like putting everything into the calendar. So
I love my
literally
Google Cal.
even like whether it's dropping him off or the time that I'm gonna have like my 20-minute like personal break, or I'll put in like, oh, this is my solo time with, I also have a baby, and I'll be like, this is my like solo time with Ella. And I will literally put it into the calendar, because if I don't, I end up getting like distracted with something, or I'll be like, oh, I'm just going to do a couple emails, and then like, you know, 2 hours later. And so if I put it in there, then I know I'm like, okay, this is my email time.
And then you can actually relax because you're like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You don't feel like you're
Exactly.
like, yeah.
Exactly.
But also with kids, as much as you can try and schedule it as much as you want, but there's always going to be something that comes up or
gosh,
something
yes.
that's,
You know, or they're emotional about
You're like,
something.
you're supposed
for
to be
sure.
napping right now.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I like, yes, like let's make that very clear that you can make all the schedules you want, and like a lot of times it doesn't go according to plan. But it's nice to it's still nice to have it. Like even if it doesn't go according to plan, it's still nice to have kind of like a rough outline. And then hopefully like, you know, I mean, Marianne is always very flexible. Our team's very flexible. So if something does come up, you know, it does.
Oh,
But
I mean,
it's
obviously
with
that's
the
your
two of
number
us
one
that I think
priority.
is helpful too, because
Yeah.
I think like there's sometimes where like I'm like, oh, I'm unavailable, I can't hop on that call, and then Lauren can do it by herself, and so like or vice
great.
versa. So it's really nice
Yeah.
to like have two of us. So if only one of us is needed, at least somebody can do something.
Yeah. Oh my God, completely.
that's great.
another big benefit of having a partner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There are many benefits, but that's one of them.
What's one thing about motherhood that surprised you?
Ooh. I'm so obsessed with them, and I know that sounds odd to say like, oh, was I surprised by that? But I honestly am surprised by the amount of like love that I have for them and how much I love the role of being their mom. I knew I always wanted to be a mother, but it was, I feel truly most at home with myself as their mother, and all of my other roles in life feel so much more meaningful. Like because
So cute.
I really do. Like I like feel most at home as their mom, and I think that sort of surprised me in the best way of just how I would feel within that role, and how all of the other roles in my life feel so that much better and that much more significant and more meaningful. And I had a lot of fears, as I'm sure a lot of women do, about before having kids, a lot of fears over what happens to, you know, my lifestyle and my career and my job and all of that. And there isn't really like, I don't have like a perfect answer to that. Like things do change and you do make
Your priorities
sacrifices
shift.
and your priorities shift. But I also was like, have been very happily surprised at how much more meaningful everything else in my life felt in this role of motherhood. So it's sort of that fear, so the opposite of that fear happened.
I love that.
That
She
gets
was
me
meant to be a
excited.
mom. Like Lauren's meant to be a mom. Like
You're like
she's
the
so
hottest
cute.
mom
I know,
ever.
right?
It's crazy. I didn't know you had kids till the Summer Friday event, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, she has 2 kids." I was like, what the? "No, no."
And you're like, cool
Wait,
mom.
no, no.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Making me blush.
Congrats.
They're
Congrats
so
to you.
cute.
They're the best.
Can you give us a hint at the next product launch?
Okay, next. Well, we have like some really fun things for like holiday. So holiday is like a fun time for us to be like experimental with some different things that either are like sets or kits or like minis or like limited edition things.
I love minis.
Can I request something?
Yes.
A candle? Did I guess? Maybe.
We don't know. It's like not, but they're about to go make one.
I'm leading the Summer Fridays Facebook groups.
I'm telling you, it's like
People know.
How do you
The
guys
people
know?
know.
It's spottable. Your scents are
wild.
so good. I want my house just like, I want to smell like it, and I want my house to smell like it.
Well, I
Well,
think you're
now
like
you can.
about to be really happy.
I'm so excited.
Just manifested that for yourself really quickly.
I spoke it out into existence.
PR package coming your way.
Yeah.
It's at your door already.
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe I just guessed that. I answered my own question.
You did.
Okay, well, obviously, if you guys watching or listening are not already following them, you definitely need to. Summer Fridays. Where else can they find you guys?
On Instagram, we're at Summer Fridays. Our website is summerfridays.com.
And your handle?
And my personal handle is Lauren Ireland.
And mine's Mariana_Hewitt.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for being
Thank you for
on.
having
This
us.
was so
Having
much
us. This
fun.
is
Your
so
beautiful
inspiring.
set. This is so legit. I feel like we need like our own talk show.
I know. I'm
It's like
feeling
this.
so inspired by being here.
No, you need.
I'm really feeling very inspired. I feel like
very
you
into
you really inspired us.
Oh my
today.
God.
Next week, talk
Thank you.
show's out. Candle burning. I can't wait.
And then we'll have you guys in.
Yes.
We're gonna manifest that. Okay.
Love. So thank you guys so much for watching. You can definitely check us out next week on youtube.com/prettybasic or also, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And we'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.